Everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man. I am Bobby Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, and this is a special episode with some special guests. I have Chris, love that hair, Clemons.
Hey, how's it going?
And Jordan, what did you call him earlier? Slim Jim, just Slim Jordan or whatever.
Slim Jim Castro.
Slim Jim Castro.
Hey, how's it going?
He's shrinking
everybody?
and shrinking even more.
Every
so.
time I see him, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, I follow him on, I think he's on Instagram, right?
Yep.
He's posting always at the gym doing some kind of cardio, working out or something like that. So it's paying off. So it's good. Exactly. Got to feel good too.
It does. It honestly does. It feels really good.
I bet it does. I bet it does. So you guys have stopped by Emporia to do some shopping, check things out, some talking with Robert McCall, and I'm sure maybe a little bit of Jeremy Rusko. But the big thing is, well, okay, so you're here in Emporia for the weekend. Right after this, are you headed toward Vegas or what?
We're actually heading back to Minnesota for a few days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then Vegas. So talk to us a little about the excitement, the disc golf coming back for 2019. Now, yes, guys, I understand disc golf is all year round, but for these pros, this is it. This is time to go to work, time to clock in, right?
Exactly.
So talk a little bit about the excitement toward that.
It feels awesome, honestly. Waited all year for this, and it came up quick. I remember texting Chris back after USCGC, hey man, see you in a few months, and now it's finally here. So I'm looking forward to weather, playing some disc golf finally.
Yeah,
just being outside. So
yeah, anything in particular during the off season that you were kind of working on? We'll get to you that question.
For me, I mean, I can't really play outside, and if I do, it's super cold.
Yeah.
So for me, I trained a lot at the gym. Running, walking, elliptical, lift weights, just to keep me active and in shape wise too.
Right.
So I've been focusing on that and a diet too, eating well, and just a little bit, just kind of focusing on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, if people follow your story, and I know on Instagram, they can follow your story at Jordan_Castro #1 or just Castro 1. But if they follow your story that, you've been on this incredible a journey of losing weight and getting healthier. How do you feel that has impacted your game?
It's been a huge impact, honestly. My arms coming a lot faster. I have more energy on the course. Growing up, I was a bigger person, and walking up and down hills and just that long time period, you're playing disc golf 2 to 4 hours every round. You need that kind of heart rate to bounce up.
Sure.
So, and especially like when you're making a clutch putt,
right?
It helps. So I feel more energized, focused, and motivated.
So to give a few of our listeners context, just in case they're not sure of your story, tell us how much weight you've lost.
I think it was 2016 or 2017. I weighed 365 pounds, and I weighed myself yesterday or the day before, and I'm down to 175 pounds.
Good Lord, dude.
So
that is a lot of weight.
25 pounds this off season already.
Wow.
So I'm there. I hit my goal weight. I'm happy about that.
Now, what type of diet? When you say diet, what is that? What does diet mean to you?
It can go a little bit of everything. I cut out sugars, bread, carbs, a lot more protein, just kind of watching what I'm eating, more veggies and all that. So a couple meal replacement shakes here and there. No pop.
Well, it definitely shows, Jordan. So good on you.
Thank you.
Now, Chris, what's the biggest thing you're anticipating for the 2019 disc golf season?
I'm excited to get back out there and play the courses that I got to play, for the first time last year.
Right.
But actually have kind of, a better idea. I'll have a better game plan going into them. And I think I'll be more focused this year. Yeah,
so talk about that. So, in your planning in the off season, last year was kind of your first, I'm going out there and I'm doing it tour type thing, right? So what lessons have you learned going into your second year?
I think that I noticed that on tour, at the beginning of the year, courses are a little more open, a little longer.
Yeah.
And by the end of the year, we're kind of moving east. And so the courses are a little more wooded.
Okay.
And so I think especially it's going to be windy, the first couple months of the season. So I usually put in more overstable discs, new Enforcer, new Warhorse, whatever, to prepare for that. But I honestly think just kind of entering the season with a clean slate, whatever happened last year, your successes or failures or however you feel about it, try to build on that and kind of start fresh.
Tell us a little bit though. Okay. So that's kind of your mindset in the game. but tell us like the real details, like as far as like traveling and living, driving all them. What are some things that you're like, man, I'm not going to let that happen like it did last year?
I think last year it was kind of mine and Castro's first year touring, and so I think it's easy to kind of get into a routine of kind of not. I don't know. I felt like I was a little unfocused last year.
Really?
And it was hard sometimes to, take your practice rounds seriously, as serious as I would like, especially if you're surrounded by a bunch of people who aren't.
Right.
And so by the end of the season, me and Castro talked and we figured out ways to approach our practice rounds and just disc golf in general with a more serious tone. And, and I think, and I definitely improved as the season went on.
Yeah.
And had better finishes. And so I think that's kind of what I was lacking, because I came from playing locally. And so I had the same routine. I go to work during the day. I would practice in the afternoon or evening, and then I would play, some practice rounds throughout the week and go play on the weekend.
Right.
But when, your first year touring, it's kind of, you don't really know where you're going to be sometimes and when you're going to be there, when you're going to be able to sleep, who's going to be around you. And so you can get a little scattered. And so I think trying to develop a good, solid routine can definitely help you. I think Eric Oakley has definitely helped with that. And he talks about that, developing your routine. And so something that, is comfortable for you.
Gotcha. Now, have you, is the whole year kind of mapped down, or do you have just kind of a general idea? I mean, is it like all NTs, all Disc Golf Pro Tour? What's kind of the mindset?
We definitely have a tour set up, and I think we're going to kind of release that, so everybody can see it. But yeah, basically all the big ones, Disc Golf Pro Tour, NTs, everything. We're going to be in Montana again for Zootown.
Okay.
We're going to throw down the mountain in Florida.
Okay.
And so we're playing all the big ones for sure this year.
Yeah,
Nice.
There's I think 5 or 6, 7 new events this year that we haven't been to, that we just like, oh, that's on the way. Let's hit that one up. Heard really good things about it. So
so when you're doing the traveling, what kind of, when you're looking at the map and looking at, I'm assuming like PDGA and stuff like that, what piques your interest? What makes you think, oh, maybe we should check that tournament out?
It's pretty much where we're at the weekend before and see what's on the route. Because like you don't really want to backtrack or just like lead up to that. So, and like hearing it from other pros too, like our friends or whatever, they're like, hey, I highly recommend this idea.
Yeah.
Go here, check it out. And we got a spot for you, this and that. So
gotcha.
That's
awesome.
A little bit.
Now, before we started recording, so real quickly, we'll do here so that people know what's going on. But we talked about the recoil and the Pioneer. The prototype has come out. For you guys have the prototypes, and then the special edition have been available for our buyback retailers. Now, hopefully you guys have listened to us. You know what a buyback store is, where you go to a buyback store, you pick up one of our discs, you have 14 days to try out that disc. Within those 14 days, if you don't quite like the disc, bring it back and you can trade it for something else. That doesn't even have to be one of our brands. That's just how confident we are in that you'll like the disc. And we just want to make sure you find the right disc. But so special edition Pioneer and recoils have been out there. Next week, I think it is, next Friday, I believe, the first run recoil and Pioneer will be available. And then, of course, after that, the stock stamp. So what can people expect from the recoil and the Pioneer?
I was actually, 15 minutes ago, just feeling the first run recoil and Pioneer, and they're feeling amazing.
Yeah.
The protos, usually the proto runs are somewhat different than first runs and stock stamp runs. There's a little variance in the plastics they use and stuff. But I think the recoil and the Pioneer are going to be hits, because everybody's always looking for that, because a lot of people throw felons, especially in the springtime. They throw felons, Auties, criminals, overstable fairway drivers. And so I think the Pioneer is going to fit right in there for a lot of people, for sure.
So what kind of shot would the Pioneer be for, Jordan?
Pretty much the overstable slot, where you throw the felon or criminal, but you're trying to get a little bit more glide.
Gotcha.
I threw it a few times, so I'm going to throw it more once we get into nice weather and just kind of work with it. I threw it on all types of angles, and it held the whole time.
Right.
I just noticed it went a little bit farther than my felon or criminal.
Yeah.
With a little bit more finish over stability. So.
And Chris, what about the recoil? What kind of shot would you want to grab the recoil for?
Man, I felt like I think the recoil is a speed 12, I want to say.
Okay.
I throw the Defender, specifically bio Defenders, that are really overstable. I find the really like domey stiff ones, and those tend to be more overstable than my Warhorse right when I get them, but I beat them in pretty quick.
Right.
And I think the recoil, the one that I threw, the Proto, it was definitely kind of like a perfect flying Defender for me. It had a little bit of S, and it just had some crazy amount of glide with that good overstability at the end. So I'm definitely excited for it. I think for a lot of people, it's going to be kind of in between maybe a Trespass and a Defender, you know, kind of in that area. In the Trespass is a 12-speed, Defender's 13. So if you like the smaller rim on the Trespass, but want a little more overstability, maybe the recoil will be the one.
Excellent. Nice. Well, we talked about Jordan and his weight loss journey, getting healthy. A subject that comes up quite a bit because of a certain person on here is hair.
Yeah.
So, you know, Chris Clemons, I don't know. There's some guy, and he may be watching, so I have to watch what I say. We won't say his name, but it does rhyme with Mafal. So,
oh boy,
oh god,
oh boy.
So anyway, so you know, Chris, you've got the locks of love going on with your hair and stuff like that. Does that ever? I mean, I know it probably sounds like a weird question to ask about disc golf, but is that something you? I mean, I guess what made me think of it is whenever I take pictures of Paige Bjerkes, every time that hair is all in her face, and I don't know how she does it. Do you purposely put yours back? Because of that reason?
I definitely do. When it's cold outside, I'll play with a beanie, and so my hair will be down.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really bother me if I get used to it. But yeah, I've been playing with Paige for a couple years now, and she just plays with it swinging all over the place. And I mean, if you're used to it, then, you know, I guess that's what feels comfortable for you. Yeah. But I like mine pulled back, and I don't have to think about it. You know, I'm wearing the headbands and stuff. It's fashion.
I don't know. I was just looking at it and I was thinking, man, I wonder if have you ever thrown it with it down?
I have. It's pretty crazy. It gets in the way. It'll smack you in the face or in the eye, and you're just like,
whiplash.
Yeah.
So for our audio people, if you've never seen Chris Clemons, if you follow us on Instagram, I'm sure you have, but he's got hair down to past his shoulders.
Yeah.
So he's got pretty long hair.
Pretty long.
All right. Well, that is wonderful to get to know what's going on with you guys. But what do you guys say we answer some disc golf questions that came in? You ready?
Great.
Yeah.
All right. So this one is from Justin. He says, I'm noticing that MPO players are throwing some lower weight discs in the 160s. How often and why do pros throw these lighter discs? I would have thought pros only threw 170 plus since they have the arm speed and want heavier discs for predictability in the wind.
I mean, he definitely makes a good point in that weight. You know, the heavier weights are more predictable in wind. I think, you know, at the beginning of the season, it's going to be very windy. So I'll definitely be looking for heavier weights. But as the season kind of wears on, you know, sometimes there's no wind out there and it's 100 degrees. But I like some high 160 like Defenders and Enforcers just because I know that they're going to be overstable, but they are going to have a little bit more glide because they're lighter. They're easier to throw. So, I mean, I feel like it's a mistake to think that lighter weight discs are inherently less stable because that's not always the case. Because I've found some lighter weight discs to be more overstable. And so you just got to kind of find what you like.
How important is the weight to you, Jordan?
Sometimes I look for it. Sometimes I don't. It just varies on the mold. Have some bio getaways right now. And when I think of that, I just think they're going to be at least break in fast, and they're a little bit lightweights. I think right now I got in my bag are 167 bio getaways, and they're broken really fast. And sometimes that lighter weight helps the more understability. So, but like Chris was saying, like I found some molds that are like my Enforcers. I think a couple of the green ones are 169, but they're just complete meat hooks.
Really?
And sometimes like that run is like perfect too. So I know Chris likes those purple Paige Pierce Defenders, and they're so overstable.
I have like 166 ones. And they're
like so crazy. Yeah.
And I might be overgeneralizing or simplifying it, but it does seem like there's been this little stigma where like you guys can't throw air discs, or you know you can't throw far if you throw an air disc, and maybe that's kind of the lighter weight. You know, we see a lot of the pros throw the heavier weights, and some people think, well, I guess I got to throw max weight because So, and that's obviously not the case.
No.
Right. I think, with air, you start getting an air plastic and it is like 150s. So for me, I start to notice, once I get down to 150s, like it might throw my timing off a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I was throwing in a distance competition, I'd be throwing like 155 Air Ballista Pros, probably. Because I mean, a lighter weight disc you can impart more speed on.
Yeah.
And so, but they are a little less unpredictable, especially if you throw hard.
Yeah.
And because you're putting you add the wind into it, it can be a little unpredictable. But I mean, nowadays, I think the disc technology is so good that they've been able to make lighter weight discs that are just as stable as the heavy ones.
Well, gosh, just the other day for the live video, I threw the Air Sheriff. Boy, that thing was money.
I saw that. Yeah, I was watching
so
it.
good.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. Everybody was shocked, but it was good. So, okay. Someone asked on the board, so this would be good. What about putters? What about the weight on putters?
I usually go 173 or higher. Just find a matching pair, same stamp, same color. You obviously putt with one putter,
Right.
but I just put two in my bag, then grab one. I don't really look for like, hey, this is a red stamp, green stamp,
Right.
or whatever, and the feel wise too.
Gotcha.
So.
What about you, Chris? Are you
I
grabbing
usually
the max weight? Or?
I usually try to get as close to 175 as I can.
Okay.
The putter is something you want to feel comfortable with. You're using it pretty much every hole.
Gotcha.
And so it's a disc you want to grab and be like, I love you. I love putting with you.
Right.
You don't want to think like, oh no.
Yeah.
And so I like having consistency. Most putters though are in 170s.
Yeah.
It's harder to find some lightweight putters. But I'm same with the mid ranges too. Emax and Verdicts and stuff. I look for high 170s. Just a predictability with that. But I have had some like lighter weight fuses that they just have some crazy glide, so they're really fun to throw.
Gotcha.
But usually the only lightweight stuff I'm throwing is like max distance drivers.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. This next one, let's see. Oh, they didn't put a name, but this is a good question. Hey, guys, what kind of distance can an average 52-year-old who has been playing for 6 years expect to get? 300, 350 feet? So what do you think?
I mean, I think 300 is a pretty good number. It kind of just depends on your form, and how in shape you are and what you're throwing.
Right.
Honestly, you could be throwing something that's too overstable or something that's way too understable.
Right.
Arm speed too. Arm speed could do a huge thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think on average, around 300 feet, you can compete in pretty much any division.
Excuse me. All right, let's see. This one is from Matthew. He's asking about tournaments. I'm going to start playing tournaments in Colorado and New Mexico this year, and I'm trying to decide what level I should play at. I can drive 400 feet with decent accuracy forehand. Excuse me. Not so much backhand, though. I'm comfortable with my approach shots, and my scramble game is on point. But I'm only comfortable putting 100% at about 20 feet max. From 30 feet, I'm only about 65%. Should I go for the podium and play intermediate or play with better players at the advanced level B and C tier?
I think that at one point I was kind of in the same boat when I was playing advanced. I was really good inside of 15, 20 feet, but it was at like 25 to 33 foot range, like just inside the circle that I struggled with, having accuracy while getting enough power to get the putter to the basket. I think just practicing more at 25 foot range. And I mean, for tournaments, you should probably, you can kind of dabble in both, if you see the field, and it looks stacked for advanced, maybe try intermediate and see where you stand. If you win intermediate, move up to advanced. I wouldn't overthink it too much, especially if you have friends in intermediate or advanced and you guys play together. And if you beat them usually and they're playing intermediate, then maybe play advanced. Or if you guys are pretty even, then you should probably play their division.
Yeah, Jordan. So, we get a lot of questions where people are trying to figure out what division should I play in, or do I have to win in either intermediate once or twice or three times to move up? What advice would you give to them?
I don't think it's technically all about winning.
Yeah.
I mean, your mindset should be there, but like, honestly, I don't think it should be there yet. If you're just trying to compete, I would say, like Chris was saying, like, start off with intermediate, challenge yourself, or even move up to advanced, like play with your friends, see how they play, and I mean, hearing all the stats he does, just practice those putts. I mean, putting is where your strokes are.
Yeah. Putting is definitely the most important part of the game. Usually the top professionals or top players in the world are amazing putters, and that's no coincidence. Usually whoever wins the tournament that weekend, they put it in the basket. Your drive can be errant sometimes. You can throw OB occasionally, but if you're not able to put the disc in the basket, then you're not going to score very well.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Let's see. So you guys can answer this because you are sponsored players.
Hey.
Jacob wants to know the age-old question that disc golfers try to achieve.
How do you get sponsored?
What is the best way to get sponsored?
You go ahead, Castro.
I hear that I get messages quite often about this. I mean, it can be various things, honestly. It could be social media presence, ambassador, your what you're doing in your local community, like how you play in tournaments, positive attitude. I mean, it could be a whole bunch of things that can be in factor too. So just being good at disc golf doesn't mean that you should get a sponsorship too. So
yeah, I think something that I had, because I got sponsored quite a few years ago by Latitude 64. And the way that I approached it was I just wanted to win. That was my only concern. I didn't have Instagram at the time. I mean, I talked to my buddies on social media, but like I just wanted to go win. After, over the last couple years, disc golf has really grown. And I love talking to people and introducing people to the game. And so being able to use social media as a device to get disc golf out there to the masses, people who might not have ever heard of it, has been a great thing. But one of the things that you have to think about if you're trying to get sponsored is, why are you trying to get sponsored? What do you want out of it? Do you just want the notoriety that you're a sponsored player, or do you want it to be for a reason? Because and you have to think, whenever I think about what I bring to the table for dynamic discs, like that's the most important thing, because you're not going to be sponsored if you don't have anything to offer the company. And so it might be, going out and running leagues, and introducing new people to the game, or, I mean, there's many, many ways to get sponsored, but usually the best thing to do is play tournaments, and do well, and kind of introduce new people to the game is one of the biggest things you can do.
I like what you said, because it's it kind of reminds me of the saying that you can apply anywhere, but I think it was JFK. Don't ask what your country can do for you, but what you can do. Yep. It's kind of the same thing. Don't ask what the manufacturer can do for you. Ask what you can do for the manufacturer.
I learned that from one of the godfathers of disc golf, is Pete Cashin in Kansas City.
Yep.
And
you'd have some good wisdom, I'm sure.
Yeah, we were talking, a couple years ago, and he put that in my mind. It's like, what can you offer dynamic discs? What can you offer the company that, what are you going to bring them back? Are you going to bring them, financial gain, or, like what do you have to offer? And so I had to think about that.
Yeah. All right, this one is from Cody, and this is on form. He says, Disc Golf Fans, man, thanks for the podcast. I had a question regarding putting upside down. I've heard this was good advice when putting in windy conditions, but I haven't figured out how to grip a putter upside down. It always feels awkward and doesn't come out clean. Could you explain this and maybe make a demo video on YouTube or Instagram? Cody, I'm going to save this. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this, but I'm going to save this question, and that way Danny can answer it, because he does go on Disc Golf or he goes on our Dynamic Disc Instagram channel, and on Instagram TV or IGTV, our channel, he goes through and answers these form questions. So we'll see that. But we do want to get some advice from you guys. What would you tell them?
Being in the Midwest, you do have to do that sometimes. More so, I will throw the disc upside down. So say if it's really windy or I'm on the side of the hill, and it's 60 feet, I will slide the disc. If it's, kind of hard pan, or like the grass is really short, if it's long grass, that's not going to work.
Right.
But somebody who I know is really good at it is Russ Burns. He's the disc golf monkey from Springfield, Missouri.
Okay.
And I noticed he would do that years ago. And when it was really windy, and it was kind of the same as his normal putt. But I tried different things, but I usually kind of put my thumb on the actual rim. I don't like putting it inside.
Okay.
It just feels better on the rim because I can like impart more spin on the disc, and that's really what you're looking for in the wind.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's a good thing to do.
Nice. What about you, Jordan? Do you do any upside down throwing?
No, don't mess with
No
that.
advice from you, huh?
Nope, I just throw it under the basket, try and hit the pole. So, I mean, I don't really practice, don't worry about it. So, I mean,
Gotcha.
it's windy either or. Usually I just straddle it out and just throw it down, nose down. So,
Yeah, when they go upside down, man, they just like die. Like
Yeah.
they never flip,
Yeah.
no matter what the wind.
Yeah.
They just always hyzer. It's crazy.
All right, this one is about courses. My local course is on I'm thinking he means college, not a collage. So it gets okay maintenance, but mainly just mowing. I was looking to clean it up to make it look better and play better. I just don't want to interfere with the original plan for the course. Any tips would be appreciated. Just wanted to thank you guys for an amazing customer service and everything you do for the sport. So what can someone do to help their local course be maintained?
There's a couple of different avenues. If this is on a college, it might be maintained by the actual college. What I would try to find out is who made the course, and you might be able to contact them, text them, email them, and ask if they want any help out there, and they may even meet you out there, and you guys can work together. Or if there's leagues out there, usually the people who run the leagues, are kind of in charge of what's happening out at the course, and they would be able to contact the parks department and stuff, and ask if they can, hey, come move these branches or whatever and stuff. But I think if there are people out there playing, talk to them, ask them. If it's a place where not many people play, try to look online, or maybe even ask the college and try to find out who created the course and contact them.
That's probably best advice.
You definitely want to ask before you do it, because
Absolutely.
you don't want to get a course pulled.
Yeah.
Where my hometown, we're actually made a club and partner up with the Parks and Rec department just to make sure that, hey, can we trim this branch? Hey, can we get this? Just make sure you're in contact with them. Make sure you're on the same page.
Yeah, a lot of times it seems like disc golfers feel like they own it.
Exactly, yeah.
And
But
you
it's a
have to
city.
remember, it's on a public park.
Yeah.
I remember a long time ago, and I think I've mentioned this before. It really kind of made me mad, but we were playing disc golf, and it was it was a round that everybody planned to play. I think it was like a $5 round or something like that. But there were some kids playing, and this kid was like, one of the guys on our the card was like mad, like yelling, "Get off!" And I'm like, "Whoa, dude!
Yeah.
This is a public park. They have every right to be here, just like we. Let's at least ask them to move instead of yelling at them like they're in our way or something like that." So that's what we have to keep.
You don't want to do that. You definitely want to ask.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, this one's from Team Froth Fuss. Never heard of it, but there it is. Hey, Disc Golf Answerman crew, quick cue. Do you think do you guys have a harp and suspect? You guys throw it?
I throw the harp.
I have both of them in my bag right now.
All right, here we go. Do you think it will be an overlap to have both the harp and the suspect in the bag? Also, will the new we'll answer this one first. So harp and suspect. Overlap or no?
For me, I use them for different things.
Okay.
So the harp is for a little bit shorter distance, and the harp is for me is approach wise. So the harp, I throw, I think a medium harp, and I throw that for approaches with like sidearms wise. I just can't feel that on a suspect sidearm. It just feels weird in my hand.
Yeah.
So that's what I use that for. And my suspect is for my backhand, say 300 and then or whatever. Just a little bit. It goes a little bit farther and has a bit more glide, I think.
It's a question that we get often enough for me to notice it. And you said, which one do you throw, Chris?
I throw the harp, and so I throw a VIP, and it is more overstable than my BT medium.
Okay.
The medium for me is more for like shorter forehand up shots, or just up shots in general where I kind of want it to stick.
Mm-hmm.
The VIP I would use more for windy, skip shots and things like that. So I think if you have both of them in your bag, what plastics and weights are they? And if, the suspect is straighter than your harp, then maybe look into getting, a medium or hard harp and beating that up so you can have that kind of same feel.
What's interesting is that as popular as the harp is, which is very, one of our more popular, especially for Westside, I actually have one of the 4 original harps that Thomas brought over.
The yellow ones?
The VIP.
I had one of those before.
Do you have one of those?
I had
you
one.
had just
yeah.
I remember he came over and he had like 4 of them, and he was having people test them, and we were throwing them, and people were like super excited about him, and I can't remember who he gave, but he handed me his. Did you want one? And I said, yeah, I'll take one. Not realizing that these were like
What
one
it
of the
was gonna
first,
be.
and everything like that. So yeah,
You
I
still
have one
have
of
it?
those. Oh yeah, it's in my closet.
Is it unused?
Unused. Only thrown
All right, I'm
those
coming
few
over.
those few times
Make
that
make
Is
some
it
money
pretty
on
tested
it.
them.
pretty beefy?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
imagine.
pretty beefy.
Yeah.
So, all right. His other question was, and maybe we touched on it a little bit earlier when we talked about the Pioneer, but he said, will the new Lucid Pioneer by L64 fly similar to the proto Lucid X Felons in stability?
Honestly, the first run Pioneers, like it felt very like tight and almost like Lucid X plastic. You know, it was very tight and stiff, and to me that meant that they were going to be pretty overstable. And so they felt good. And I wouldn't be surprised if they fly very similar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. All right, this is from Charlie, and apparently he's a newbie. He is asking about disc maintenance. 1, should I just sand the nicks down or heat gun it? Whoa.
I think that's illegal, isn't it?
I would almost.
I think it might be.
The sanding, I think you can
That's
that's a
accepted.
gray area. Yeah, because
Right.
the heat gun, I would think you're changing the disc enough to where someone might.
Right. I don't think
Say
anybody
that's not good.
would
Yeah,
call you unless you were like on the course doing it or something, you know,
Get
maybe
your little generator on the
maybe I don't know, like if you love a disc that much, yeah, it's hard to let it go.
Yeah.
I mean, when I get big nicks in there, you know, I may just sand it off or just kind of keep throwing it until it breaks in, you know, but sometimes you get big nicks and it'll change the flight of a disc, sometimes for the better.
Yeah. I usually rotate it out, try and get a new one in there.
So that brings us to number 2 question, Jordan. So maybe you can help him understand, when do you retire a disc?
When it's, I mean, when I can replace it, honestly. I have the old orange Bio Enforcer in my bag, and it's rolling like a thief now. So put a new one in, and it's money, just how it was. So, and I mean, you throw it for 2-3 years, and the flight's just not what you want or what you're looking for. So it's like, why should I throw this Enforcer when I got a Thief? Two discs that do the same thing. So.
Now, is there a particular disc that you have that you retired, and then you started throwing some other stuff, and then you thought, well, let me go grab that. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought, and then you put it back in the bag.
A Cetus.
Oh, really?
Yep, my first Cetus.
Really? Do you have? Is it in the bag right now?
Yep.
Well, now, what do you use that for?
That one's just like my throw the putter up high and just let it soar down. So just like open with no ceiling, just 300 and in, just nailing in.
Nice. All right, this one is from Marissa, and Marissa says, I'm new to disc golf and have good luck throwing a buzz. Is there another disc you would recommend for a newbie? So what would you recommend from our lineup for a newbie that's liking the buzz?
The Truth. Most probably the EMAC Truth. I think a regular Truth might be a little more like a Buzz SS or maybe like an Evidence.
Okay.
But definitely the EMAC, because I personally came from throwing buzzes years ago. And when I got sponsored by Latitude, I felt the Truth and I was like, yep, that's the one.
Nice.
And so I've been throwing it ever since.
Nice.
So, I mean, it's just a dead straight, you know, if you need to throw a dead straight 250 feet or 350 feet, like it does it.
Gotcha. Now, Jordan, you were Innova, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Did you ever throw any discraft stuff?
I grew up a couple buzzes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I threw a couple bar stamp buzzes. Then threw comets and stuff. So I would say the Fuse. I mean, the Fuse can do anything.
Fuse, yeah.
So
He would say that.
yeah.
You like that? Do you have Fuse in your bag?
Yeah, I got 3 of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think it's been said before, but I think the Fuse is like Thomas's. When I say Thomas, the guys who I'm referring to is the guy, the mastermind behind all these bolts. He's the one that creates them, and we give him ideas, and he creates it and puts it out there. So anyway, he says the Fuse, I believe, is one of his favorite discs out there.
Both of them.
It's very underrated, and we both throw it, and we have been throwing it for a long time. When I switched, I had a Tersus and a Fuse because I came from throwing a Comet, and the Tersus kind of felt better in my hand at first, but I just kept throwing the Fuse, and in tournaments it was just perfect every single time. So I just never looked back, and I personally think I have the best Fuse ever made in my bag right now, but I got it from Castro, who got it from buddy Colin.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, it's money. It can do anything. It's so underrated.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have stacks. I think I just picked up a few other ones, and I think I got 10, 15 at home, and I just picked up more here. So I found some old school sticker weights.
Didn't you
in
get them
there.
from Jesper Lundmark?
Yeah.
From the man himself?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
We're fuse guys.
Yeah,
We're
that's
trying
a
to get
sick count.
people on them.
Yeah.
I just had a thought. So I don't know if you guys listen to our show at all. You better. I'm just playing. No,
I do.
I do.
So I've got the 850 challenge going on, right? Where
Okay.
I'm rated 806 or 807. I'm trying to be rated 850 by the end of the year.
Yep.
Okay.
Now I know as you guys being up there in the top rating and stuff like that, making big jumps doesn't happen as much as someone who's rated in the 800s. But is that we get all across the board? Some pros really watch ratings, some don't. So first, each of you answer: how important are the ratings? And then, do you have any ratings goal in your mind, or is that even part of the equation when you're out there playing?
I try not to focus on it.
Okay.
If I can stay above 1,000, I'm happy with that.
Okay.
I definitely want to be 10, 15, 10, 20 end of this year, and being on tour and playing all these big events. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
Just got to make more putts. I think that's my downfall this past year,
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to getting after that. But yeah, I mean, it's easy to do. It just drives you there, then just make the putts. So
Yeah. What about you,
Sounds
Chris?
easy.
yeah, sounds easy.
It's
I think,
game's easy, right? I mean, if you think about it, the
yeah.
game's easy.
For me, historically, like if you look at my rating history, like I would jump up 10 or 15 points and then I would kind of fall a little bit and then jump up. And so
Yeah.
I was always like, I would add new things to my game where I jumped up and then I'd fall a little bit. And so last year was kind of the same. Like I jumped up to the 1020s and then I fell a little bit and now I'm going back up. So, my goal is to get up to 1030s. I think ratings, I don't think they're totally meaningless.
Right.
I think some people may feel that way, but you don't want to dwell on them too much.
Right.
I know, I can usually tell if I play, a tough course like Milo or, something like that. Like I can tell how I shot.
Gotcha.
I don't have to know what anybody else shot. Like, yeah, that felt like 1030s or that felt like 990.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of tell. And so if I want to succeed and play well, and finish top 10 in tournaments, my rating will go up. But I think dwelling on it is something you don't necessarily want to do. But I mean, the better you shoot, the higher your rating is going to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so having something to shoot for is always a good thing, something to push you.
Gotcha. Well, if you follow us on Facebook, Disc Golf Answerman Facebook group, you know that last time they did a ratings update, I posted something about it and kind of gave an opportunity to everybody to kind of state where they're rated and where they want to be. So hopefully you guys can join in.
I commented on that.
You did?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah. Next time next time they have a PDJ rating update, we'll check out our ratings to see how we are in our goal. Maybe you guys can kind of comment on there so
What's
they can.
what's the bet, or what's the?
I don't. What?
You have to shave your head.
No, I can't remember if we decided on something
Oh.
between me and Anthony. I know that we do have one bet for the Monkey Island Open.
Uh-oh.
So me and Anthony, we're doing the 5K, 10K challenge.
Okay.
Of course, if you get, it's an ace challenge. If you get an ace and you shoot with something other than our brand, you get $5,000 if you get that ace. But if you throw with our brand, you get $10,000.
Dang.
So we have to film
at
At-
Peter Pan,
Yeah.
that's going to be doable.
Yeah. So I can't remember. I think it's going to be a hole 7. I can't remember if they decided exactly which hole it is. But anyway, so we have to film that, obviously,
Oh, okay.
because
Yeah.
we have to capture it. Because the whole point, well, part of the point is to capture it on video, put it out there so
Right.
the people get to see it and stuff like that. So me and Anthony have a little bet. We're playing on Saturday. Me and him are playing on Saturday. Sunday is the pro day, and we're going to film. But whoever doesn't do better against their rating has to film in the morning. So whoever has to wake up early. So that's kind of a side bet on there.
Oh.
But I can't remember what the whole bet is as far as me and Anthony. There'll be something. I'm sure Torchy's Tacos will be involved somehow.
Food
in
is
this
always
bet.
good.
Yeah, food's always a good bet.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to the questions. This one's from Joe from Michigan. Hello, long time, first time here.
Cool.
Okay. With 2.5 disc selection questions, 2.5 questions. I currently bag an MVP Volt, which is a 8.5 -1 2 in my neutral fairway spot. It flies super straight, and it is what I learned to throw forehand with. Do you gentlemen think that an Escape would fit that spot well? Lucid or Fusion, if I don't have the strong plastic preference. What do you think?
A Volt.
Have you
I haven't thrown a volt. What did he say? It was 8.5,
8.5,
-1.2.
-1.2. Yep.
Yeah, I think an escape is pretty close there. I think an escape is a 9 speed, maybe even a saint. 'Cause I think that's an 8 speed. I personally am loving the getaway. I think the escape is probably the best
Okay.
one.
Okay.
I think lucid will probably be more stable than the fusion. So if he wants something that he knows isn't going to flip, then the lucid is probably better to go with.
There you go. Yeah, his second question is, I was advised to get a gladiator in recycled after starting to flip my lucid trespass over with similar numbers. How does the gladiator compare to a defender? Whoa. Okay, went from trespass to defender.
I think so. The gladiator and the recycled, that is, especially if you get one that's really domey. So if it has that pop top, you kind of grab it and you kind of pop it with your thumbs. And it's kind of tight. It'll be pretty overstable. But the recycled, like the biofusion, tends to beat in a little quicker than lucid or fusion. But I think that because I used to throw trespasses and I throw defenders now. A lot of people say, and I would agree, that defenders, when you first get them, are really, really overstable. Like sometimes more than enforcers.
Yeah,
and it takes a little bit to beat them in, but then they start to be bombers. But yeah, I think, kind of whatever feels good in your hand. I think a gladiator is a 12 speed, so it might feel like more like the trespass or even a recoil. The recoil's coming out, and I think it's going to be a good trespass replacement if you need something more stable.
Gotcha. What I've always find interesting when I talk to you guys, your pros that are, doing this for a living, is that, a lot of people will fixate on the numbers.
Yeah.
And yet you guys don't really know the numbers.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, is evident of how you shouldn't fixate so much on the numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on that, Jordan?
I don't pay attention to the numbers.
Yeah.
I just grab a disc and throw it and go by there.
Right.
So
now I get that these are pros and they have access to discs like
Right.
you don't have access to it, like the regular person does. But it still think it says something to how numbers, yes, can be a guide.
Yeah, exactly.
They can kind of help you a little bit, but once you get a disc in your hand, don't look at the numbers. Just throw it.
You can usually
Right.
feel, like when I feel a disc, it's like,
Right.
all right, that's 7 speed. And like I'll look by speed wise. I don't know the other numbers.
I think
wise.
speed is a big factor, and usually speed is directly correlates to how wide the rim is.
Yeah.
And so,
Exactly.
and the lower the speed, like for me personally right now, I'm loving the getaway, and I think it's a 9 speed,
Yeah.
but I throw it pretty much just as far as I do my enforcer
Yeah, that
on a
thing
backhand.
goes.
But it's just more controllable for me. And so it's like it's slower, but I mean, if you throw it correctly and right, like it goes just as
Correct.
far as your distance drivers,
Yeah.
but it's more controllable.
And it depends on arm speed too.
Yep.
So
We got a special question request from the chat board. Someone wants to know, how about that Ricky Fowler?
Ricky Fowler.
for birdie,
How
Who
about
is
that
that?
Ricky Fowler?
Is that AJ?
AJ.
Yes.
Fowler for birdie. Didn't he
Good
just
old
win?
AJ.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know.
Super Bowl Sunday.
And he's
He took like
engaged too.
He took like 3 bogey, like a bogey, double bogey, then triple bogey, and still won.
I mean,
like
that's
2
how
or
you
3.
win. Whatever.
There you go. All right, Justin asks, after learning good form by playing with putters and mid-ranges, what should the natural progression be? Should beginners move up to air discs until their arm speed can allow them to throw heavier discs? Should we just move up to faster discs that are understable? What are the basic steps beginners should take until we can throw the cool discs that pros absolutely bomb?
I think that going, from if you're throwing mids and putters well, and you're not flipping them, you're throwing them like on a pure hyzer straight, and then they fade out at the end. I think stepping up to something like a Maverick, an Explorer, something like that is going to be more beneficial than going straight to a Captain or a Sheriff.
Correct.
Because what I have found in like working with people and playing with people who had slower arm speeds is that when we talk about the hit, like when you hit a disc right, like the Sheriff or something fast, like it goes far and it flies like it's intended to. But if you're a slower arm speed, you're not going to be able to replicate that every single time. And so then it's going to, fade out a lot faster than you want it to.
Correct.
And so I think throwing with a slower speed, like an Escape or an Explorer or something, you'll be able to replicate that flight that you want from your disc over and over again. It'll be easier to do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, slower speeds to start off with, and Escape, Vandal, Maverick. Get that hyzer, pop it up, and then just a slow turn. You don't want to move up too fast.
I want the weather to get not nicer fast so I can really get out and throw that Vandal.
Yeah,
So I didn't think of it like that.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Let's see, Eric, what happens to the disc when it's cold outside? Here in Sweden, it could be like -10 Celsius. More stable or understable?
That's like -90 Fahrenheit, isn't it? I'm just kidding.
Translation.
Yeah, I think usually they get stiffer, and stiffer usually means more stable. And if it is that cold, you're going to have all these layers on. Your grip isn't going to be as good. So discs usually, in the wintertime tend to fly a little more overstable for me anyways.
Jordan, so being in Minnesota,
okay,
where it gets pretty cold.
Don't even throw up there. It's too cold.
When you play tournaments and it's colder, is there ever any time that you're like, I need to switch this out or switch that out?
So summer bag is completely different from my winter bag. I have 2 different bags.
Really?
Yep, because of the weather. And you get 2-3 feet of snow, you hit a tree, you have no idea where it's going.
Wow.
I don't want to lose my good fuses or enforcers. Yeah. And plus, like, those aren't going too far. The max distance you're throwing is 300 feet because the air temperature, you have all these layers. So, yeah, new bag, new everything. So.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't realize it's going to be a whole new bag.
Yeah, so, like, it's crazy. A lot of people do that. Or ribbons, too. A lot of people use ribbons.
I see. Yeah, I've seen people use the ribbons. I never had to do that because once it reaches a certain temperature, I'm out.
Yeah.
All right, this one is from Steven on shot selection. I'm looking to improve on my upshot game and have a question. How do you make the decision to throw a putter or mid-range? Any other tips to improve upshots? Mostly just not good at putting would be helpful. So how do you choose between the putter and the mid-range?
I personally reach for the harp more so than anything when I'm throwing up shots. I think it's just kind of by feel, and how I developed that is very early on in my game. Like when I was playing advanced a lot years ago, I would grab my, at the time I think I had like a Zone and a Comet and KC AVRs, but now I grab, Judges, harps, my fuse, and I just throw all those over and over again, back and forth to baskets, and then I putt. And, just developing that fluidity and practice with that will definitely help you, just go out there and throw them and see what feels good. You're only ever going to be able to tell by just practicing. There's no set distance or specific shot. Everybody's different. So I think, the next time you play, skip the actual practice round and just stop it, between holes 2 and 3 and throw your putters and, your felons on forehand and stuff like that. Just throw them back and forth and get some good reps doing that.
What about you, Jordan?
For me, it just depends on the distance, the like hole, like how's the green look. I throw the harp in the fuse. So when I'm within 200 feet and it's nice and flat, I'll just throw a sidearm fuse or sidearm harp, excuse me. Then depending on there's elevation, I'm not trying to make it from that far away. So I'm trying to get close to the basket as I can. So I'm just jump putting my fuse, just putting a lot of spin on it and just put the glide, and because the mid-range are hold the glide. And if you know me, like I have a far spin jump putt. So
yeah, with the fuse, I think. And factoring in, the ground play, you have to kind of see what the green's like you said, and that mid range is, most mid ranges people use are in Lucid or Fusion high quality plastic, and sometimes they're going to skip a little bit further than your putter, and so sometimes you have to do that if it's a low ceiling and you want to skip up to the basket, but sometimes you just want it to sit right on there. So throwing a softer putter, it'll just kind of grab better.
You'll find out at Masters Cup. Chris.
Yeah.
At Dayla.
The hard pan.
Yeah.
I'm going to be throwing it upside down a lot.
All right. This one's from JD. This may be a little silly question, but I'm new to the sport. So do you guys file off the little nub on the bottom of the disc? For some reason, it bothers me.
Like on the bottom middle?
Yeah. For lack of a better term, some people call it the nipple.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like a nipple. I file off. I guess I just want to be validated that I'm not a complete weirdo. I don't know anybody that files it off.
Yeah, I like it because I'll spin it on my finger.
That's what I normally do.
And so I like it.
I don't I don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
bother me.
Sorry.
My hand's never there.
Sorry,
so,
JD. You are
yeah.
apparently a weirdo.
You're one of a kind.
You're one of a kind. There you go. Let's see. JD does have another question. Oh, no, this is someone else. I'm sorry. This is from Bear Golfing. I've been playing for 30 plus years. Love what you folks are doing for the game. My question is, what in your disc lineup would replace my soft magnet?
Does a magnet have a bead?
I don't know.
Or is it
You're
a
the disc golf
microbead?
former
The
disc golf guy.
Swan. The Swan reborn.
Swan?
Yeah.
You
super
think so?
close. It's super close to it. That reminds
Yeah,
me of
because
it.
magnets are kind of like concave,
Yeah,
and
it's
they
just-
do have that feel.
That or Mercy. I mean, Mercy's
Yeah.
close too.
Yeah, I think the Swan like feels more like it though. Yeah, my buddy used to throw a magnet way back in the day, and I think a Swan is probably pretty dang close, like the feel wise, anyways. But Mercy, maybe flight wise, I'd try one of those.
Have you guys have done clinics and stuff like that, right? Where you did stuff. Let's see. Tim asks, "Hello, good people. I want to help run a middle school camp this summer, and I'd like to include some disc golf into it. They have a small course on the property that doesn't get used much, and I have a portable basket we can use. Do any of you know of any disc golf related games that would appeal to middle schoolers?"
I think because I've done a couple clinics, and I did a couple with LaRon Harris. He's on DD, and we did it in Kansas City, in like the inner city, and it was a lot of fun, and the kids loved it. And you'd be surprised by how good some kids are. Like they've never thrown before, and then they just chuck it, and it's like 200 feet dead line. It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
There's people who've been throwing for 5 years, and they would love to do that.
Yeah.
But I think just usually kids, especially like middle schoolers, you just kind of want to keep them, entertained. So having them, putt at a basket, and then you move it back to maybe 75, 100 feet, have them throw at that, and then maybe practice some distance drives, and then maybe have them play a little bit. I wouldn't make it too repetitive. Just keep them kind of entertained. They want to move around and jump around, so just let them throw.
The biggest surprise, I don't know if it was a surprise, but this is something I noticed that when Dixon was doing some stuff for the school, was having them do rollers.
Really?
And they love the rollers.
Yeah.
Obviously we teach them, put your finger straight up, put the disc here, and then obviously he didn't get too techno. He just said rear back and just throw it and let it roll. And those kids were like, wow, look at it go. So definitely, now obviously they're not going to, it's a level that you get to after you've been playing for a while. Yeah. But to see those little kids get excited to watch that disc roll down the field while they're on recess or whatever, I thought it was really cool. So don't forget about teaching them how to do little rollers.
Yeah, teach them, just different things, and just let them throw. And honestly, probably one of them is just going to throw a roller while you're saying, hey, all right, hold the disc. Right. And everybody will see it.
Right.
So just let them have fun.
CTPs, Ring of Fire.
Oh, yeah. Definitely Ring of Fire.
That's so fun.
They get super excited with the Ring of Fire.
You can throw and be like, whoa.
Yeah.
So
that's always important.
Watching them.
Real quick tip. When you do the Ring of Fire, make sure you tell the little kids, don't get your disc until I tell you to.
Yeah, because they throw it. They're like, let me go get that.
Then they'll run to get it, and then someone's not quite done
Smack
with their putt or
head.
something. Yeah, I've seen kids get bopped in the head because they ran up too fast to get their disc.
It's kind of like GBO for the block party.
Yeah. This one is this is an interesting name. The only bigger number than Paul McCabe. The only number bigger than Paul McCabe, than Paul Macbeth's rating are the numbers of his aces. All right. Sounds like we got a Macbeth fanboy on here.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes.
What is his rating? Yeah, he probably, no. I think he has more than that many aces? Maybe.
I've been using a power grip with all 4 fingers under the rim for all drives. Mids and putters, I have 2 fingers tucked in and 2 fanned out for more control. I have always been pretty accurate throwing fairways with a power grip, but some people have told me a control grip gives more accuracy. Is this something I should work on? Any help would be appreciated. I guess I don't know the specifics of a control grip.
I think we both, I don't use a 4-finger power grip for any of my shots. I use they call it a modified fan grip. Okay. So I do tuck some fingers, and some fingers I leave splayed out. I used to throw with a power grip way back when, but I noticed that I started grip locking. I had problems with that, and so I have been using this ever since. And if I threw in a distance competition or something, I might go power grip. But I feel like this leads to more consistent releases, and So yeah, I think just kind of work with it and see if you like it. That's what I did. One day I threw it and I was like, yeah, this works, and never looked back. And so I think just give it a try and see what you think.
Have you changed your grip at all?
Yeah.
Jordan?
So
Yeah.
when I first started, I did power grip everything, like 4 fingers underneath it.
Yeah.
Then I had trouble throwing like mids and putters with that grip. It was super awkward. Then now I switched to like a modified power fan grip. So like I kind of like pinch the rim right now. So sometimes my snap just leads up to a blister on that. So sometimes I put tape on it. But I'm just kind of working with the power grip now for just drivers. I can throw hyzers fine with it, but like when I throw anhyzers, it's really tough because like my wrist is weird because I'm just so used to that pinch.
So
grip.
when you guys were changing up your grips or something like that, was it really hard to get? I mean, was it awkward?
It felt so weird.
Yeah, it's
it was
a little awkward.
Yeah.
Most recently, though, I have changed my putting grip. I did it at the end of the last year a little bit, and really worked on it over the off season. And I'm getting better spin. I'm able to putt at longer distances better, get better pop on the disc. And so it is awkward at first. And so I think doing it in the off season or doing it, if you have a month in between a tournament or something, that's a good time to work on that. But just know that I think that throwing every day, at least for like 15 minutes, is better than throwing like once every 4 days for like 5 hours. Just touching a disc every day and getting that repetition in every single day, especially when it's cold outside. You can get out there for 15 minutes before you freeze and then go back inside. Yeah. And you get a little bit of work in, but it's good for that repetition. And so I think, if you play once a week and you're trying to change something, it's going to be a lot harder than doing it if you can get out there a couple times a week and really work at it.
Gotcha. Nice. All right, YouTubers, I want you to stay with us, but the audio people, this is going to be our last question for the show. So we want to thank Chris and Jordan for stopping by and answering some of the disc golf questions. We really appreciate it. But the YouTube people, for hanging in there and watching us live, put your questions in the chat board, and we'll spend a few minutes afterwards to get some answers from Chris and Jordan. All right, so this question is from Elliot. And he says, new listener here, love the podcast. You've probably answered lots of questions like this, but I struggle a lot with consistency. I can and have birdied almost every hole of my home course, but I still have trouble putting together a solid round. Any tips on getting to the next level as I start thinking about competing in local rounds?
I think that, playing your home course, when you play it enough times, eventually, yeah, especially if it's an easier course, you're going to birdie a lot of the holes, if not all of them. And so whenever you go into a round and you get better and better, you expect yourself to birdie every single hole. And so when you don't, you miss a couple, then you can let it get in your head. And so I think just approaching it, like you're just trying to throw your best shots, and you'll be surprised at how well you can play. And by the end of the round, you're like, oh my God, I just birdied 12 of the holes and 12 under, on my home course. And I think that leads to good consistency, so kind of try to put out of your mind that you can birdie every single hole and just go out there and kind of throw and have no expectation, and then see where you are at the end of the round.
Gotcha. What about you, Jordan?
Yeah, I tend not to focus on it. At my home course, I've birdied almost every hole, but not in the same round. Like I at least birdied it. Can I do it in a tournament? I'd love to, but I don't. I play the tournament every year that I'm home, and I've never won it yet.
Yeah.
Just because I expect too much things. But this offseason, I read a couple books, and my mindset changed. So really looking forward to using that this year. And like Chris was saying, just go out and just throw one shot at a time, focus on that shot, then leads up to the next shot. So one shot at a time, I think.
Yeah. It's easy to do that with tournaments, especially local ones. If it's your home course, you think that everybody expects you to win.
Exactly.
You expect to birdie everything and kill it. And then 3 holes in and you're even par or 1 over. You're like, oh my God. And you freak out.
You're
but
right.
it's just like any other tournament. You still have to go out there and make putts and throw good shots.
It's like I want to win this tournament so bad, and I've never won it. And I always get second or third or miss cash. It's just like, because I'm so focused, like, all right, I'm going to win this tournament. Instead of just being like, all right, just focus. Just don't worry about that. It's in the past.
All right. Well, thanks again, Chris and Jordan, for helping us answer some of these disc golf questions. I know that after this, you're going to go back to Minnesota for a little bit, then head out and hit the road.
Yep.
Ready for some disc golf touring in 2019.
For sure.
Right.
Any particular? Now, I mean, I can ask you the given question. Any particular tournament you're looking forward to, and you can give me all kinds of stuff, whatever. But I want to know what's the best place that you're looking, or what's the place you're like, man, I can't wait to get back to that place because it's just so much fun, or something's really cool about it, or maybe there's a favorite. Like me, I can't wait to get back to some Texas tournament so I can try and get me some Torchy's tacos.
Yeah.
But what's something you're looking forward to at a certain place?
Man, there's I'm lucky to tour with Castro because he knows a lot of people and he's been to a lot of places. And so we have really great hosts wherever we go. And the Navas come to mind up in Oregon. Okay. So at Milo, Beaver State Fling, they, took us out and we ate in a skyscraper and, just that was really cool. But I think in Montana at the Sheehan's house, Kevin Sheehan, he plays, and his mom and dad, they welcomed us into their home. AJ was there too, AJ Risley and Brian Earhart. And then Ian from Central Coast Disc Golf actually came and stayed there too. So it was an amazing time. And they have a house up in the mountains, you know, and it's just awesome. And they're super kind. And so I think that just as much as, playing the tournament, that is it's a big reason to look forward to going to anywhere, is having those hosts, and they just make you feel at home and you can just relax and concentrate on what you're there to do.
What about you, Jordan?
Oh, well, he took my answer, so I'm going to switch something else.
Okay, you going to say Montana?
Yeah, it was. I like Nantucket.
Okay.
I mean, just getting away for a week, just on an island. Todd Rainwater and his family and his staff just put on a great tournament. Take a ferry to an island, just go deep fishing, sea fishing, eating lobster, and just spending the time with you get a big house full of disc golfers, touring guys. So just to hang out with them, just see what they're like, and just
you were there too.
Yeah,
I was there.
It was super fun.
You know how it is,
I hope we get to go back next year. I'm not sure it'll happen, but we'll see.
The time is amazing too.
Yeah.
So it's a good time tournament.
It's amazing.
Ride a bike through the town. We were riding bikes from morning to night.
And I get to go to De La Viega for the first time this year. Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been there.
Okay, I've never been there, so it'll be my first time. So I'm very excited.
Santa Cruz
for that.
is always good too, like the beach. And
I've been to SoCal, but I've never been to NorCal, so I'm excited.
Well, of course, we wish you the best of luck, and I'll be out there as many tournaments as the host, the title sponsor will let me. That's a whole nother show that we're going to talk about. Maybe, I don't know. I'm frustrated. But anyway, hopefully I'll be out there and I'll capture some video and get some good photos of you guys. But I'll definitely see you guys out there.
For
so,
sure.
But for sure, best of luck. All right, guys. Thanks again for tuning into the Disc Golf Banterman podcast. This has been a special episode with some really special guests on. I appreciate it. Make sure you guys go out to iTunes. I know I haven't reminded you guys in a while, but make sure you go out to iTunes, rate and review us, because as people do their disc golf searching and stuff like that, it helps us rank higher when we have some nice rating and reviews. So please go out there. And of course, share this on social media. Let them know that you love listening to the Disc Golf Banterman. We'll see you next time.